Well, good morning and welcome to the first Sunday of 2021. You made it. Come on. Anybody excited? You made it to 2021. I don't have a t-shirt for you this morning that says I survived 2020, but you're the proof that you survived this year. If I haven't had the chance to meet you yet, my name is Jordan, like Pastor Don said. I'm the Next Steps pastor here, and I don't know how you are as you kind of end one year and you start the next, but I tend to get a little reflective. Anybody with me? You start to think of all the things that happened in the year prior. Think of all the things that you're thankful for, all the people that you're thankful for. And I just want to let you know that Highmark Church is one of those things that I'm just so thankful for that happened to me in 2020. And Pastors Don and Jamie are people that I'm so thankful for. Can you imagine what it takes to lead a brand new church through everything that 2020 had to bring? I mean, like a global pandemic, civil unrest. You have everything that could go wrong and still Pastors Don and Jamie led with like the steadiness of a heart surgeon. Like they never shook. Like they just kept leading courageously, and I'm just so thankful for it. Is anybody thankful for that? We have pastors that can just lead us. So thank you for all that you've done. It's going to be an incredible year, like you said. I'm looking forward to everything that's in store for Highmark in 2021. Next week, we're going to kick off. of that year, she's asking me, what are we going to do for Valentine's Day? And I said, don't worry. I've got a plan. And I had kind of a plan. It wasn't a great plan, but I had a little bit of a plan. See, at the time I was 20. I don't have a romantic bone in my body, and I have no idea what I'm really doing in my first ever real relationship. And so I just go off of what I've seen in movies, right? You go to a romantic place and you eat a romantic meal. That's all Valentine's Day is. That's the secret. That's the code. You're a month away. That's all you need, a romantic place and a romantic dinner. And so we lived in Missouri at the time, so I'm just racking my 20-year-old brain for the most romantic place I can think of. And for some reason, I land on Branson, Missouri. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Branson. I don't know if you've been to Branson. But just to paint a picture in your mind, Branson is like an elderly Las Vegas set inside of a Cracker Barrel like general store, right? That's what Branson is like. And for some reason, I thought that would be romantic. Unfortunately, that's not the worst thing that happened that night. We go to this restaurant. So the plan is to go to this romantic steak restaurant. Like, it's on the water in Branson. It would have been beautiful. It would have been if I would have thought to make a reservation at this restaurant on Valentine's Day. You think that nobody's dumb enough. Nobody's that big of an idiot that they wouldn't make a reservation on Valentine's Day. Well, you're looking at him, baby, because I forgot to make a reservation. 3-hour wait at the romantic steak place. Not going to do that. So we walk like a half a block down the road to a restaurant called Garfield's. Now, there's a reason why there was no wait, and you didn't need a reservation to eat at Garfield's, because it was empty, and it was not romantic whatsoever. And to make matters worse, as if Valentine's Day 2014 wasn't bad enough, we eat our dinner, $35 meal at Garfield's. I got away easy that night. The waitress brings the check. I hand her my card. Not once, not twice, but 3 times my card declines on a $35 bill at Garfield's in Branson. I mean, Carissa is sinking into her chair every time I'm like, no, just run it again. I know I have the money. I'm good for it. Just run the card again. And she's like, oh no, like crippled in anxiety. And I finally swallowed my pride. I walked half block, got some cash out of the ATM, paid the woman, and vowed to never live a Valentine's Day like that again. I promise I had sort of a plan going into Valentine's Day 2014. But plans don't matter if you're an idiot. And that is where I found myself. We as humans, we love plans. Plans give us a sense of security. They give us a sense of like, even though I don't know what I'm doing, if I have a plan, I feel like I know what I'm doing. Like, we can be secure in our plans, right? I mean, you probably have health plans, you have financial plans, you have a 5-year plan, you have a 10-year plan. You have plans for 2021. But if 2020 taught me anything, it's that life doesn't care about your plans. Your plans can be thrown out the window at any given moment. And that's why I believe that these words that Jesus is speaking in Matthew chapter 7 are so crucial to us, because it's not the people that have the greatest plans that survive tough times. Tough people survive tough times. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. It's not the people with the greatest agenda that have thought everything through that survive. It's people that can stand fast and endure to the end, right? I don't want to build my life on plans, because plans can be thrown out the window in an instant. I want to build my life on a foundation that actually matters. Jesus says these are foundational words. Words you can build a life on. They are trustworthy. They are secure. And I want you to remember this today. Your life is only as secure as the foundation it's built on. In the story that Jesus tells, the illustration that he uses, the 2 houses that he illustrates, the one built on the rock and the one built on the sand, they are only as secure as the house or as the foundation they sit on. It's the same thing in our lives. Like, our lives are only as secure as the foundation it sits on. So we can't build our lives on plans. We can't build our lives on other people. We have to build our lives on something that is secure, steadfast, and will last. It's only as secure as the foundation it's built on. So I have a message today titled Built to Last. And all I want to do is walk through this story in Matthew 7, because I just had some thoughts as I thought through the end of 2020, the beginning of 2021. I want to go into it with a faith that's still standing. So I want to look at Jesus' words, what he spoke to the people, and what he wants to do in our lives today. Just a few thoughts. The first thought I have for you today is this: surface work won't fix foundational problems. We need to get this in our minds going into 2021, because surface work won't fix foundational problems. I'll tell you what I mean. Back before we'll read what Jesus says. These words I speak to you are not incidental additions to your life. They're not home improvements to your standard of living. They are foundational words to build a life on. So, before the pandemic, before everything goes out the window, I had the opportunity to go to San Francisco. I was in San Francisco, California, and I was told a story of a really cool building there called the Millennium Tower. Anybody ever heard of it, ever seen it? No? Good. This is going to be great. This is a picture of the Millennium Tower. 58 stories tall, 650 feet high. At the time it was built in 2009, it was the largest residential building west of the Mississippi. Big deal. It cost $600 million to build that building. And 7 years after the building was built, the residents were informed that the building was sinking into the ground. You can't make this stuff up. You know the reason why it was sinking is because it was built on mud and sand. These developers hadn't read Matthew chapter 7. They didn't read Jesus' words. They built a building that had started to sink into the sand, and the way that they found that out was because the basement had begun to show cracks in it, and the cracks were getting bigger, and the pavement around the building there in San Francisco, right in the heart of it, started to have cracks in it as well. And not only were you can see the signs on the ground, but also they discovered that the building itself was leaning 18 inches off its original base. That's not good if you are a resident of the Millennium Tower. 18 inches off its original base because it wasn't built on a secure foundation. Now, $600 million to build. It's estimated that the developers were going to have to spend $200 million just to fix the foundation. $600 million to build, $200 million to fix a mistake. And in my head, I can't fathom spending $200 million on a mistake. So I'm thinking why can't we just get creative with a solution here? Why do you have to spend $200 million to fix the foundation? A bag of concrete at Home Depot is $5. I can go buy that, fix the cracks in the basement, and fix the cracks around the building. And then, I don't know, let's get creative with the lean. Maybe we can move the heavier residents from one side of the building to the other, and it might lean you can't do that. That's terrible. So I'm just trying to come up with creative solutions, because $200 million is a lot of money to try to fix a tower that was built for $600 million. In my head, I just try to come up with creative solutions to fix the problems that are easy to see. But I think these developers understood something that you and I need to all understand as we go into 2021. Surface work won't fix foundational problems. They can't just fix the cracks around the building because the foundation is wrong. And if the foundation is wrong, it doesn't matter if they fix them now. Later on, they're going to have a major problem still. In our lives, so many times we have cracks that show up. I guarantee 2020 showed you some stuff in your life that's messed up, because we all have issues. Example A right here, screwed up, messy life. We've got foundational, deep-rooted issues deep inside of us. And so many of us try to cover them up with, we cover them up here, we put a smile on our face, it's good, and we don't deal with at the very root, at the very foundation of who we are. 2021 has to be different. We can't just fix surface problems by painting a nice coat of paint over it and letting it be. You can paint my 2000 Chevy Cavalier candy red. It's not a Ferrari. And you can't convince me otherwise. We can't just coat our lives. We have to be able to fix foundational issues. So in 2021, don't just I'll get to it later. Don't push the ball down the field, because foundational issues, it might cost you something on the front end. But if you don't, foundational issues can be deadly. They can take you out. The first storm that comes, if you don't have a strong foundation, you can be blown away in an instant. Foundational issues might be costly, but if you don't fix them, they're deadly. Don't let 2021 be another year where you push the ball down the field. Keep showing up. That's all it is. It's just keep showing up. Join a life group. Get around some people that have some strong community that can speak into your life. Join something that is bigger than you. And watch as you continue to take steps of faith and you begin to fix foundational issues. You identify them and you look at them and you say, not this year, not anymore. I'm not going to carry that into another year. Watch as God works in your life. Because I believe as we begin to work on our foundation, God shows up in the midst of it. He's not interested in your surface issues. He wants to get at the root of the foundation. If we really want to be built to last, if we really want to survive 2021 and be steadfast and strong, we have to look at our foundation first. Second thing I took from Matthew 7 that I believe is crucial for us as we go into a new year is talk is cheap. You got to work these words. Somebody say, work these words. You got to work these words. What Jesus says here, if you work these words into your life, you are like a smart carpenter who built his house on solid rock. But if you just use my words in Bible studies and don't work them into your life, you're like a stupid carpenter who built his house on the sandy beach. We have to work these words. My dad, growing up, he's what everybody would call a handyman. Like my dad spent years, hangs drywall, builds decks, paints houses. He does it all when it comes to houses. I unfortunately didn't get those genes. Like I'm not a handyman by any means. That's my dad. I would hold the flashlight for him while he did that. What I've come to realize that there's a difference between being able to work on certain things, like building certain things, and then just the ability to use certain things. There's a difference. If you want a deck built, you don't want somebody that can just use tools, because anybody can use tools. I can take a hammer. I'm not going to build you a deck. You want somebody that actually has experience working with them, right? Work takes skill. Work takes effort. Work takes time. Work takes intentionality. Using something, it's just because it's available. Jesus is teaching the people this day, you have to work these words. You can't just use them, because if you don't work them, they're almost meaningless. How many of you know Jesus is probably the most quoted person in all of human history, right? It's easy to quote Jesus. We can quote Jesus all day and twice on Sunday. It's easy to say the words that he said. It's a lot harder to work them into our lives. It takes intentionality. It takes effort. It takes a real going out and diving and wrestling with certain things. I'll show you. Jesus says right here, Matthew chapter 5, but I say love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. It's easy to say. Like you can stitch that on a pillow. You can tweet it. But it doesn't matter. You can say it all you want, but it's so hard to work into our lives. People that are against us, we're called to pray for them. Jesus says later, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's trouble is enough for today. Quote it. You can say it all you want, but if it's just harder to work in your life. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take some intentionality. It's so hard to not have to worry about tomorrow's struggles when today's anxiety is enough for today. You can't just use it. You've got to work it. It says, keep on asking and you'll receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking and you will find. Keep on knocking and the door will be opened. For everyone who asks receives, everyone who seeks finds, and to everyone who knocks, the door will be opened. Quote it all day. It's a tongue twister, but you can quote it. But until we actually apply this in our lives, the words that we use are meaningless. Keep on asking. Keep on seeking. Let this be a year where we actually work the words that Jesus has given to us, where we actually spend some time and life into us. We have to be able to work words. We can't use them anymore. 2021 has to be a year where we are intentional about working Jesus' words. I have one last thing, one last thought as we end today from Matthew 7. It's probably the most foundational thing that we can take from this scripture. I'm fixed to the rock. That's the last thought that we need in our lives for 2021. I'm fixed to the rock. Jesus' words say, didn't. Jesus says, the rain poured down, the river flooded, a tornado hit, but nothing moved that house. It was fixed to the rock. The house stood because the rock stood. The house was secure because the rock was secure. The house and the rock are so intricately connected. The house is only strong because the rock is strong. I brought something with me today that I want to show you. Anybody know what this is? Anybody? It's a toe chain. And if you don't know what it is, be thankful, because you only want to see a toe chain when you absolutely need it. A couple years ago, I was driving on a snowy day, and I ended up in a ditch. And I had a kind stranger pull out a tow chain and bring my car up out of the ditch. Now, how many of you know that if I drive into a ditch and all I have is the tow chain, no matter how strong, no matter how secure the chain is, it's useless? I mean, I can attach it to my car, but if there's nothing on the other end of this tow chain, I'm stuck. You get where I'm going with this? I believe each and every one of us have a toe chain in our lives. We attach one end to us. When we find ourselves in a predicament we never thought we would get ourselves into. We found ourselves in a ditch on a snowy day in the midst of life. We have a toe chain, but the toe chain doesn't do any good if it's not connected to something. So what we do is we attach one end to our life, and then we use the other end to find the most strong, secure, trustworthy thing that we can find. Now, for many of us, our minds say it's God, but in reality, we're attaching the other end of this to our careers. We think the career can pull us out of our ditch. You think our career can pull us out of our storm. You think your spouse can pull yourself out of a storm. You think your finances can pull you out of a storm. Don't worry, I've got a plan. You think our plans can pull us out of our storm. An expectation, a better attitude can pull us out of a storm. And so what we end up doing is we end up taking our safety and security and we attach it to something that was never meant to hold it. And we wonder why in our lives, when people leave or abandon us, we lose that job, we lose that money, that we find ourselves insecure and alone, not knowing where my next step comes from. And my heart breaks for people that have put their trust and their security and their safety in somebody or something's hands, only to see them not be able to carry it or for them to take off and leave them stuck in a ditch. I believe today that there is a better answer. I believe that there is a better person to attach yourself to. I believe there's a better foundation to build your life on. I don't build my life on plans. I don't build my life on people. I attach my life to a person. His name is Jesus. He is the foundation on which I can build everything in my life on. He is strong. He is consistent. He is secure. He will never leave me or forsake me. He will not leave me in a ditch. I can attach my strength, my security, my entire life to Jesus, because he is a rock that is fixed. And if I fix myself to that rock, there's nothing that this year can bring. There's nothing that a pandemic can take down. There's nothing that life can throw at you in 2021, because if you attach yourself to that rock, you're built to last. And you're built to last only because he's built to last. Our strength is attached to his strength. Our security is attached to his security. This year, we have to commit. We have to be able to work on the foundational issues of our life. We've got to work Jesus' words into our everyday life. And we have to make sure that whatever we attach our security and our safety to, it's something that can handle it. Today, I know there's people in the room, there's people watching online, that you've given something away that you wish you wouldn't have. where you have deep-ridden foundational issues that need to be dealt with. They've been years in the making, stuff since you were a kid. Today is the day, 2021 is the year to deal with those deep foundational issues. There's only one person that can do it, and it's Jesus. The Apostle Paul writes in 1 Corinthians, because of God's grace, I have laid the foundation like an expert builder. Now others are building on it, but whoever is building on this foundation must be very careful. For no one can lay a foundation than one we already have. It's Jesus Christ. If you're in the room today, if you're watching online, you haven't laid the foundation that is Jesus. 2020 might have exposed some things in your life that you didn't realize were there. It might have caused cracks around in your life that you're starting to notice now. Don't let another year go by where those aren't dealt with. Build a life on a foundation of Jesus. His life, death, and resurrection is enough to bring me to the table so that I can have a new foundation. I can have a new life. I can have a new hope. I can have a new security, a new safety. I can be built to last. So today, can we bow our heads? I want to take a moment to pray for every issue that's in the room today, for every issue we're facing online, for things in our life that have had the ability to take us out. They haven't yet. For some reason, you're still standing, you're still going, you still have a purpose ahead of you. And what Jesus wants you to realize today is that anything not built on him won't last. You can accomplish everything you want in your life, but if it's not built on the right foundation, it's bound to fall.